The other benefit, and this is to your point, is the conversation changes when the client calls me. Right? Now this is very important, subtle distinction. When potential clients call me, they're not asking, am I gonna hire you? They ask me, how can we work together?
Right.
Very different. They've already down selected and excluded. When they call me, they've kind of made their selection already.
Yep.
And the conversation is very different. It's not, well, I'm talking to you and 7 other guys or gals. How can I work with you to accomplish what I want to do? Right? Because they already know that I can help them solve their problem.
Right, and you've done that through content. You've created a positive reputation through content. Look, I did a video with Blake. I think I paid him $800 or $900. It's the video on my homepage. I've 100x the income off that video. I literally had sent that video out, and I've sat in front of people, and I'm pitching them, and I had this one lady going, "Shut up." What? She goes, "Do you know when I decided to hire you?" "No." She goes, "When I watched your video. I'm here to seal the deal." Oh. I was ready to do the whole pitch thing, right? And we've already decided. That your content becomes your ambassador. It becomes the thing that proves conclusively that you're an authority in your field, if it is on point and it is great content. That's real reputation marketing. It's not, how do we respond to the bad Yelp review? No, it's like, we've become a media organization. I am my own CNN. I'm my own Fox News. I'm my own, United Artists. And I just publish and publish and publish, and it just becomes so abundantly clear that you are the authority. So what are the 3 C's of reputation management? Create, collect, and communicate. By create, first of all, we have to create the customer experience that is worthy of a review, a case study, endorsement, or referral. So that means you got to deliver the goods. You've got to create something that's worthy of being of a review. If you don't have an amazing experience, and by the way, hopefully you'll email me today what you got out of this, right? And that would be a customer review, wouldn't it? Hey, Ed's talk was inspirational, or I've now decided not to join the group because Ed sucks as a speaker. I don't care what it is. Please exercise, if I'm truly a First Amendment guy, then you exercise your First Amendment to me and communicate. And I would like you to email me, edwindearborn@me.com, and just say what you got out of this. So then people go, well, how good of a speaker you are. We're like, well, read this. They're like, let's bring him. So I've got to, my first step in reputation management is hopefully I'm creating an experience right now that's worthy of something. Next, I have to create the channels to communicate on. Meaning, am I building my LinkedIn profile? Am I adding friends to it and connections? Am I adding followers on Instagram and LinkedIn? Am I building my email list? Am I building my network of associations to speak at? I've got to create those opportunities. I've got to create strategic alliances. I've got to create reasons and venues to place my brand in front of people. That's all part of the creative process. Now that I'm creating these amazing experiences and I'm really servicing people and I'm out there doing stuff, I've got to start collecting that experience. I've got to collect the success story, the review, the endorsement. I've got to start collecting my email lists. I've got to start collecting the case studies. I've got to start collecting the trends and the searches and the needs and the opportunities. I've got to start collecting the talent around me, which many of you brought up. Surround yourself with good people. So if I'm going to build my brand, I'm going to have to start collecting people like a videographer, like a social media guy, like a branding guy and a logo designer. And I start to collect this team that's going to help me export, and next step, which is communicate. So I've collected all this stuff. Now I have to hit the world with my message. I'm going to communicate via my blog, which you do. Webinars. Am I going to communicate often on my social channels? How am I going to do that? How am I going to communicate to my strategic partners? So let's say this group becomes a strategic partner. How do I communicate differently to the people here than I would on my email list? Well, I communicate differently by showing up or servicing you in a specific way. How do I communicate to the media? Do I do press releases? Do I, how am I going to interact? Do I go do interviews? And how do I approach Huffington Post? And hey, I want to be a writer for Entrepreneur Magazine. How do you get in? Who knows anybody there? And all of a sudden, yes, I'm going to write for Entrepreneur if they ask me for free, because as seen on Entrepreneur, right? So I got to start communicating on those channels. And of course, that's going to build my brand.
Sorry, what was KOL?
Key opinion leaders. Okay. This, to me, is where your content and your branded content is going to explode. And I can't even stress how important this concept is right here. Repurposing. Okay, so I've created content for this speaking engagement, right? I created a slideshow. How many people have watched my content so far? About a dozen. That's not a lot. It's very personal, it's very rich, it's awesome because you get to see me in person versus some email from some annoying guy, right? But I have videoed this. I can splice this 1 hour talk into 10 talks on 10 different topics, optimize each 10 of them on YouTube, and then drip feed them as 10 emails over the next 10 weeks. And I'm going to transcribe this video, and I'm going to turn those into 10 blog posts, and I'm going to turn them into 10 podcasts. I am repurposing my content. And so how does Ed come out with all this content? Like, he writes blog posts and videos and podcasts. How does he do all this? And then he's tweeting like 8,000 times a day. Where does he come up with all this inspiration for these tweets? I can take this video, turn it into 10 blog posts, take the sentences out of those blog posts, turn them into tweets, download them through a management system called Hootsuite that just goes all day long. And it's just like, Ed's on social media all the time. No, I'm not. I've strategically thought out how I'm going to create and distribute content. That's what I've done. So now this gentleman writes 100 blog posts. He compiles all the blog posts together. Now he has an ebook, and now he's an author. Or I do 100 webinars, and I have the 100 webinars transcribed, and that becomes an ebook. And I give it to an editor, and now I come up and I say I'm an author of a book. I'm not an author of a book. I've done 100 webinars, which I handed to some guy who transcribed it and turned it into an ebook, but now I'm an author. And now I can take that ebook and I can turn those into 1 trillion tweets and 1 million Facebook posts. Do you get it, what's happening here? And what happens is like, it's just like he's writing books, he's doing webinars, he's tweeting, he's on LinkedIn, he did turn this into a SlideShare.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting if you don't have a strategy and you don't have a team. If you have a strategy and a team to delegate the work, do you think I'm going to sit there and make these videos and put them on YouTube? No, Blake, my team member, is going to turn these videos, and then I'm going to take the overall video and I'm going to send that to a transcriptionist who's going to transcribe it to me, who's going to write the blog post for me, and then I'll just do some minor edits and additions, and then I'll post it. I have a team of people, but it's all under my name. So I look like the dude that just like, where does Ed get all this time? He's just publishing and publishing and publishing. It's crazy. He must be an authority in the area, right? And I have people convinced that I'm authority. Not because I'm an authority and I said so. I let my content do the convincing, as this gentleman does. They've called him, and guess what's happened? They're sold. He didn't sell them. The content branded him as an authority.